I was spending £2,000 a day, and that was just on cocaine. Prostitutes, about 1,000 a day. Today, we take a look at the crazy life of Michael Carroll and his massive £9,736,131 lottery win, which in today's money, with inflation taken into account, is an absolutely whopping £18.7 million. Or 22.5 million US dollars. So by anybody's metric, a truly shitload of cash, unless you're Elon Musk, of course. But what is the truth behind this big spender? Who really is Michael Carroll, the bin man who won millions? Is he the violent yob and hooligan who journos love to vilify? Or is the self-proclaimed king of chavs no more than a lucky sod who was just trying to have a good time the only way he knew how? Was this lad genuinely the Lotto Lout, or is he in fact an absolute legend? Let's find out. The year is 2002. Nelly's busy monetising his broken aircon system, and Fat Ronaldo has possibly the worst Barnet of all time, and nobody's got a clue who Cristiano even is yet. MSN is still the ultimate way to chat girls up, and Nokia is enjoying its heyday. That's a phone, by the way, kids. Jade Goody has just shot to stardom on the third series of Big Brother UK, and polo shirt collars are very much up. During this golden age of bling and pimped up Renault 5 turbos, we find ourselves in Norfolk in the east of England. Beyond its tractors and migrant fruit pickers, Nelson's County is famed for being the home of satirical broadcast legend Alan Partridge, a place where comedian Stephen Fry lived for a little while, but perhaps most notably of all, serving as the birthplace of Hollywood superstar Hugh Jackman's mum, who moved home to Norwich after divorcing her Australian husband and father of said Hugh. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, this glittering series of stardom is simply too long to list in a single video, but there is one individual so infamous, so incredible, so truly unbelievable that, as the thumbnail of this video would suggest, tops them all. I am of course referring to the original Slumdog Millionaire himself, Michael Carroll, aka the Lotto Lout. Michael Carroll's life changed forever when he was immediately thrust into the limelight of November of the very year we've been discussing. After the lucky bastard used his last Great British pound coin to buy his first ever lottery ticket, winging his way into winning his tax-free 9.7 million on the National Lottery at just 19 years of age. The media could not get enough of the bin man turned overnight millionaire, with the British tabloids quickly designating Michael's moniker as the Lotto Lout, and rightly or wrongly would regularly cover council estates Carroll's spending habits and general shenanigans, often labelling him a chav. And for our American audience out there, the Oxford English Dictionary describes the word chav as follows. Noun, an offensive word for somebody, usually a young person, who you think behaves, dresses or speaks in a certain way that shows their low social class and lack of education. So kind of a redneck, a bit less shooty but a lot more stabby. And yeah, he dressed in a certain way, and yeah, he presented himself in a less than flattering light, but to be fair to the young Carroll, his image fitted well within the times. Picture this. Perfect. You're just 19 years of age with a rubbish job, literally, and it's a period where the noughties is still basically just the 90s, and people like Eminem are shooting to stardom by rapping about and It's a time where being as vile as physically possible is still cool as and someone has just given you a check just shy of 10 million quid in your hand. What would you do? Put in a little nice safe low interest account? Get an ISA? Maybe buy a load of properties? Rent them out and live off the rental income? Would you You'd go absolutely mental, and so did he. After receiving his fortune, firstly, he done what any self-respecting person regularly fantasises over and told his employers to stick their job up their assholes. Literally, binning off being a bin man. Next, he took his winnings and he gave away a load of it to his loved ones. 1 million to his mum, 1 million to his mother-in-law at the time, 3 grand to each of his sisters, and another 1 million to his uncle and auntie who took him in when times were proving challenging in his life. with a father in prison, several terrible stepfathers who physically abused him, Michael was said to be uncontrollable at school. Pair this with suffering from dyslexia and ADHD, Michael would leave school barely literate and would later end up in a young offenders institution for shoplifting and, according to some sources, vehicle theft. All this before he was even 18 years old. So it's safe to say Carroll certainly had a rough start in life. But despite going through literally a lifetime of suffering, before he even spent a penny of his winnings, Carroll would fork out over 30% of his newfound dough to his nearest and dearest, leaving him with 6,694,000. Legend point there, if you ask me. But this isn't the only thing Michael would spend out on. True to his name, the Lotto Lout absolutely had it off, purchasing all sorts of ridiculous things that you would expect from a 19-year-old lad from a council estate. These include 150 grand worth of gold, of course, 340,000 on a mansion in his own town of Swaffham. He splashed out a further 250 grand on a swimming pool and jacuzzi. Not one, but 3 Mitsubishi Evos for 28 grand each. A 48,000 Mark III BMW convertible. A Range Rover Vogue for a further 48 grand. 2 hardtop M3 BMWs for 10 grand each. 10,000 on a Z4, 17,000 on an Isuzu Trooper, a casual 6 grand on a motorbike, a speedboat, standard, and no speedboat would be complete without the moped of the sea, a jet ski. Oh, and he also spent 500 nicker on a car, but then he spent 16 grand kitting that car out, before spending on yet another motor, and then spent a further 12 grand upgrading that one's wheels. Legend has it he also invested 1 million in Glasgow Rangers Football Club, which you could argue is at least an investment, but they famously went bankrupt back in 2012. However, that's a whole nother story. And sadly for Mr. Carroll, shortly into this newfound life of luxury, things on a personal level took a turn for the worst, as his then bird and mother of his newborn daughter accused him of being unfaithful with ladies of the night, claiming he was frittering away 10 million on drink and drug binges and was cheating on me with prostitutes, resulting in their divorce, where she walked away with a cool 1.5 million of his fortune, causing his money to dwindle even further. Now from here, after what would turn out to be him just dipping his toe in, ended up going full Wolf of Wall Street. Carroll became infamous for his drug-fueled sex parties, where he admitted to spending up to 50 grand a night on high-end escorts and Colombia's #1 export, cocaine. He is quoted as saying, "In every room in my ass, people would be f***ing. Women would just come up to me and offer me sex. The girls would have all their gear off and they'd be serving cocaine on silver plates." Michael was living a life consisting of sex, drugs and rock and roll. But then again, what else are you gonna do on a Saturday? Sit in his fucking armchair whacking off to pop idols, then try to avoid his girlfriend's gaze as he struggles to come to terms with his sexless relationship, then go spunk all his winnings on kebabs, fruit machines and bollocks? F that for a laugh. I know what I'd rather do. Prostitutes and drugs. Love it. These constant proper naughty sessions would lead to him receiving the nickname Master Mickey from his mates. Knows what that's supposed to mean, but according to them, this was down to the time when he took 8 women to bed at once. Let that sink in, fellas. He took 8 women to bed at once. Now that's some strong fucking cocaine. During this time, his dependency on said drugs skyrocketed, along with his alcohol consumption, with Carroll openly describing himself as a full-blown alcoholic, and is quoted to have said, "I was getting high every day, all day, eating ecstasy, MDMA, acid, you name it, I done it." He would regularly consume multiple bottles of vodka in a day, in addition to a cheeky line or two first thing in the morning. As you can imagine, like any good rags to riches story, this spiral of hedonism could only last so long. And after 3 years, Carroll's £2,000 a day drug habit and a penchant for a punt caught up with him, both financially and behaviourally, as he continually found himself on the wrong side of the law. On Guy Fawkes night one year, for example, Michael would not only spend 10 grand on fireworks, along with destroying £10,000 worth of cars in a demolition derby in his back garden, but the most ridiculous thing of all that that evening was his massive f***off bonfire where he burned a 50-foot caravan. Of course, his posh neighbours obviously weren't keen on this blazing inferno going off next door in a scene that would have looked like something straight out of Guy Ritchie's Snatch. But even more obvious is the fact that Michael and his man then were going to fall out with his poshies after one of his council estate mates decked the neighbour straight in the side of the head one day and knocked him spark out. Carroll states this row was simply a case of mistaken identity and had nothing to do with a giant bonfire. It was simply down to him and his pals mistaking their neighbour's car for someone else. Fuck knows who they thought it was pulling up on them, but Michael was concerned enough at the time to grab a bat whilst his brother-in-law grabbed a blade, only to realise the vehicle in question was actually just the neighbours coming home, but it was too late. Someone had already punched a neighbour square in the side of the head, landing Michael and his mates in yet another spot of bother. I don't care if you're Muhammad, Ahmad, Bruce Lee, you can't hit neighbours. But this was just the tip of the iceberg of the violent incidents that surrounded Master f***ing Mickey. With over 30 court cases and 42 previous offences to his name since 1997, the big spender in July 2004, less than even 2 full years since winning his fortune, was given a 5-month jail term after breaching a drug treatment and testing programme imposed on him after being convicted of possessing cocaine. This being just after magistrates in King's Lynn made him the subject of an antisocial behaviour order. Yeah, that's right, the Lotto Lout finally and officially lived up to his name with his very own legendary ASBO, the ultimate chav calling card, after the court heard he caused more than $3,000 in damages by catapulting ball bearings through his car window as he was driven along in a black Mercedes with a number plate reading L1110UT. Oh no, yeah, did I mention this black Mercedes he was driving had the fucking words, "The King of Chavs" wrote down the side of it. So Master fucking Mickey weren't even trying to cover his tracks. He wanted everyone to know it was his motor. Then, in 2006, Carroll was jailed for a further 9 months, this time for a fray, for a conviction that has been reported very, very funnily by the good old British tabloids. The East Anglian Daily Times reported on the 11th of February 2006, Carroll, 22, and his 3 friends caused havoc when they burst into a Christian rock concert in Downham Market, Norfolk in May 2004. 2 of the concert goers required hospital treatment while other young Christians prayed for their lives. Genius. After the youths, 2 with baseball bats, run amok. Last month the court heard the trio, armed with the bats, invaded the concert after 2 teenage girls they knew had been in a row outside the town hall. That is a loud point if I've ever seen one. With legal troubles mounting, his Swaffham mansion fallen into disrepair and sold for a mere 41.7% of its purchase price, his life descending further and further into disarray. The Guardian newspaper claimed Michael Carroll had officially declared bankruptcy in 2010, with the Daily Star going on to say he even spent 3 months in a hotel for the homeless as he was unable to find a job. Michael Carroll's rags to riches fairy tale and his 9.7 million fortune was finally pissed down the drain. After stints working in a biscuit factory and slaughterhouse in Scotland, today Michael Carroll's life has almost gone full circle. The now 39-year-old, a full 20 years since he hit the jackpot, is reported to be living in Belfast and has remarried his ex-wife Sandra, who so famously divorced him back when he started this crazy journey. A friend told the Daily Record, "Mickey's calmed down a lot and has been living a quiet, nice wee life and working hard. Him and Sandra buried the hatchet and got back together, and it's all worked out well for him. It's happened very quickly in the last few months, but they fell right back in love and are really happy together now. What's in the past has been forgotten about." And despite losing his fortune and being forced to return to manual labour, Carroll insists he wouldn't do anything different and is quoted as saying that winning the lottery was the best 10 years of my life for a pound, and added, "I don't look back with any regrets, that's for sure. I wouldn't turn the clock back." Further to this, when people mock him for losing millions of pounds, he smugly reminds them that he never lost a penny. He didn't lose f***ing millions, he spent them. But if he ever won big bucks again, he would continue to work a steady job and avoid getting involved in drugs and alcohol. So where do we stand with the King of Chavs? Did he do what most naughty teenagers would have done with the dough? Or is he just an absolute massive fucking bellend? Perhaps a legend who had the best few years he could ever hope for a pound, but now works hard to provide for his wife and child. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave it with you. Is Michael Carroll a Lotto Lout or legend? Before you answer that, let me ask you another question. Are you going to sit in some poxy office with a for a boss telling you what to do as you count your pennies trying to make ends meet in a country that's sinking into strikes and war, and at the end of the day go home to your cosy little flat in Nowheresville and pull your IKEA curtains shut to hide from the big bad world and pretend it's not happening? Or are you going to stand up and be counted, make a difference and feel the rush, and just for once say fuck it, I'm coiled up like a spring and I'm ready to burst, and wanking ain't doing it anymore? I need violence to make me feel alive. I know what I'd rather do, mate. I'd choose to be a Lotto Lout. Love it. Better to be someone for a day than a no one for a lifetime. Want more proper stories like this in the future? Don't be a mug, leave a cheeky like and a comment, and hit that fucking subscribe button now double time for more proper naughty stories.